So it's a schus to welcome back my Achi Gadol, the B'chara Mishpacha, Mike Stern, Yechiel Michal Michal. Baruch Hashem, he's here. It's a pleasure to have him here. Again, Tainus is the Hakdama to Tainus is very interesting because it's basically the Hakdama is a Rambam that this time of Tsaras to Klal Yisrael, you go ahead and you have a Tainus. You blow Chatzaitzrois and you have a Tainus. It's a pasuk in the Torah. So what exactly the Siba the Tainus is? Usually it can be a famine. Usually it could be and primarily in Masechta it's a lack of water. So the time we speak of Tainus, we're speaking about a lack of water, and as a result, having a Tainus and the series of fast days of Beis Hey Beis and davening and adding to the tefillas of Shmona Esrei, and that's the crux of the name Tainus. But it's primarily it's a Masechta that is full of agarata. That's really what it is. It's Penny Fisher was the first one online. It's his Penny's Masechta Tainus. Bez Hashem Penny, you'll finish it for the first time, right? Right, yeah. So it's a lot of agarata, and it's very geshmak and Masechta. I will learn the Gemara with you, and I'm going to show you guys a chiddush nifla, that it's so obvious that the people don't speak about it, but it's amazing. I'll show you a tremendous chiddush. Now we're familiar with the concept of saying Mashiv Uruch Moed Geshem and the mitzvah of saying the same Talamat Levracha. Mashiv Uruch is called Haskaras Geshamim, and the other one is called is you go ahead and you in Bechas Hashanim, then you go ahead and you ask for it. It's Mavakish, and that's the beginning of our Mishnah. I wish everyone Hatzlacha. That Hatzlacha here is not the Masechta. That Hatzlacha is finishing it. 29 and a half days, guys. I'll give you the world. 29 and a half days, you get a real siyum maybe. Get Shimon on it. Now let's go. Says the Gemara. What? It's a fast day. Okay. 30 and a half days. Anyway, we'll finish a day early. We'll finish a day earlier. Shivas B'Tamas. Beis Amid Aleph. Beis Amid Aleph. We're starting from Masechta Tainus though. I know you're still in brachas. I know, right. It's true. It's funny. It starts off with brachas, and the Gemara's kasha is brachas. It's very interesting. Says the Mishnah. Maskirin Gevurus Geshamin. At which point in time do we begin saying Mashavurach Moed Geshem? Right? In which time? The Gemara is going to ask why we say Gevuros. Rabbi Eliezer says Miyoin Tov Rishon Shel Chag, from the first day of Sukkot. The first day of Sukkot, that's when you begin saying Mashavurach Moed Geshem. Rabbi Yeshua Aimer Miyoin Tov Achron Shel Chag, Shmini Atzeres. That's when you begin saying Mashavurach Moed Geshem, and we'll of course we're familiar that the halacha is like Rabbi Yoshua. Amalei Rabbi Yeshua to Rabbi Eliezer, Hayol ve'ena geshamim elasimin klala b'chag. Since getting rain on Yontif is a simin klala, it's a curse. Lamahu masker. Why is he saying? Why is he in the havamin of the Gemara? Why is he asking for rain? If you're asking on the first day of the Chag, it begins to rain. We don't want it to rain there, so why are you mentioning it? Amalei Rabbi Eliezer, Afani le'imati lishol el lahaske mashvuach Moed Geshem ba'inasai. I didn't go ahead and ask for rain. I just was mishabech HaKadosh Baruch Hu that rain should come in its proper time. But I'm not being shoyel geshamim. I'm not being mashal on geshamim. I'm not saying it in the bracha of Baruch Aleinu, right? I'm saying it in Mashiv Ruach when we're mentioning the shvachim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, beginning with gefuras geshamim, right? I'm mentioning it there. I'm mentioning it there. Amaloi, so said Rabbi Yeshua to Rabbi Eliezer, if you're just mentioning it to Mishabech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and came la'olam yehi masker, you should mention it all the time. Why are you just waiting for what now? You should mention it all the time. Just like we say Mechayim Esim, just like we praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kel HaKadosh, we should go ahead and say Mashavurach Moed Geshem, praising Hashem all the time. If you're not asking for it, why are you going ahead and request it and being Mishabech dafka now? So, Amalayim came la'olam yehi masker. So he said, "Ain't shalom es geshamim elasayim el geshamim," because you only ask for geshamim next to geshamim. The Gemara is going to conclude, guys, that ain't chinami. Like Rabbi Eliezer, you could mention it all the time. There's just a chiyuv to mention it this time. The other times it's not a chiyuv, but it's a chiyuv according to Rabbi Eliezer, in the first day of Yontif to start saying Mashiv Haruach. There's a chiyuv, but in chinami you could say it all the time. Not that we do. I met what? Marital is kind of. We'll see what Merit Tal is, but it's not Merit Tal is like, you don't have to mention it. Some people, there are people who daven Ashkenaz and they don't say Merit Tal. So you see, it's not, you don't have to say it.
Yeah, just even if you want.
What? Yeah, Eretz Yisrael they say for Tal. We're going to see. Tomorrow's daf, we're going to see about Tal. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Ha'ovel lifnei ateva beyond the vachron shel chag," the one who davens on Shmini Atzeres, who says again, like in the Shita of Rabbi Yoshua, who says we say Mashav Ruach on Shmini Atzeres. When do we start mentioning it? By Shachris or by Musaf? So he goes, "Ha'ovel lifnei ateva," the one who goes lifnei ateva before the bima to daven beyond the achron shel chag on Shmini Atzeres. Ha'achron masker. It's the achron, the Baal Musaf. He's the one who mentions it. But a Rishon, the Baal Shachris, ain't a masker. He does not mention Mashav Ruach Merid Geshem. Beyond the Rishon shel Pesach, and the Yontav Rishon of Pesach, Harishon masker. The Rishon Baal Shachris still says Mashav Ruach Merid Geshem. Ha'achron, the Baal Musaf, ain't a masker. You stop saying Mashav Ruach on the first day of Pesach, and that in fact is the halacha. It's a very nice diak, fellas. Me'emisai maskirin versus me'emisai zoichrin. Maskirin means to mention, right? Zoichrin means to remember. This is a allusion to the person calling out. That's a mitzvah to maskir. We clap and say Mashav Ruach Merid Geshem. It's a mitzvah to mention it, right? To call out and call out rather than gvura. It's just you remember to say it. No, it's not you remembering to say it. There's any of maskirin that a person should mention it to you that you in fact you should go ahead and call it out. So the lashon is very very geshmak. Lashon is very geshmak. Okay, so nice Mishnah. No concepts, no ideas that you don't know. Welcome to Baal Simcha. It's been over, right? Where you been? Shaver brachos over weeks ago. Okay, I won't get on your case. Anyway, Tana Heichakoi. Tana Heichakoi. Okay, guys, where's the Tana holding? Guys, where's the Tana holding? Diktanim Eimesai. Says Rashi, Klaimar. Midiktanim Eimesai. When we say from when, Nechal de Beshitalon Lahai Tana, the Chayavim Lahaskir. The Heichen Chazina, the Mechayev Lahaskir. In other words, you're at second base already. When you say Me'emisai, you're at second base. We never got to first base. We don't know there's such a thing called what? Haskaris Geshamim, that you should say Me'emisai. You take it for granted. I know what Haskaris Geshamim is, and Me'emisai for when do you do it? It's the same kash in the Gemara in Brachas, right? Me'emisai Karnishmar the Arvis. How do you know there's such a thing called Kriyashma, right? The same again. So the Me'emisai is the Mishnah correlates and the Gemara also correlates the same kasha. The same kasha correlates in the Gemara. And for the Gemara Tana Hasam Koi, I'll tell you where the Tana is going. The Tana is going over there, right? He's going over there. Now, it says Rashi, Hasam Koi, Maskirin Gevus Geshamim Masech the Brachas. He's going to Masech the Brachas. Good. Let's see Taisvis. Hasam Koi, Pirish, Beseder Zrayim, Bebrachas. It's mentioned in Seder Zrayim Brachas, Perik Ein Oimdim. Okay? So in other words, be medayik, guys, Taisvis is Pirish, right? No, it doesn't explain Rashi. Taisha simply says Perish back in the Gemara. So, and for the Gemara, you want to know what Me'emisai? Tana Hasam Koi. Diktani in Masech the Brachis, Maskirin Gevurus Geshamim Tchias Amesim. We mention Gevurus Geshamim in Tchias Amesim. V'shayim Leberchas Hashanim, and we say the same Talmud what in the Brach of Baruch Aleinu. So we of course all remember Avdal B'Chen Adas. So we all, of course, remember this. It was like yesterday how we sat down and Masech the Brachis, and we got to the fourth parak, and now almost 2 years later we're waking up and saying, "Wow, that's where we're going." Fred the Gemara, the Ketani Me'emisai Maskin Gvus Geshamim. Okay, that's where we learn Me'emisai. Fred the Gemara Velisli Hasam Maishna de Shavke Yad Hacha. If that's the case, you should learn it over there. Why did you wait till here? It's quite a long period of time that we're going. Why did you wait till over here? Says Rashi. Maishna the Shavke Yad Hacha. Why do you wait until in Masech the Moed? Klaimar. Hi Diktani Hacha. The Seder Moed Me'emisai. Listening Hasam. Learn and say this Rayim. Diktani Maskirim Masech the Brachas. Hi Masech this Rayim. So what are you doing over here? Right? What are you doing over here? Good. In other words, I hear what you're saying. Meaning, in the Babylonian Talmud, there's been a mention of what? Of the word Me'emisai. Good. Of Haskaras Geshamim. Where is it? In Masech the Brachas. Good. I agree. So right away, you should ask, May Masai, Maskirim Gus Shaman. Go ahead. This sugya should not be here in say the Moed. It should be there. Why are you waiting till here? Like why are you waiting till here? It doesn't make sense. You should go ahead and bring it over there and not over here. The fact that you bring it over here is it doesn't work. I'll give you a good example of this. Masech the Makis. Maybe you learned it with your kid, right? It's a case of not Edom Zoimim. Why? Because you're not bringing Kasha Zamam, you're doing exactly what you don't do. So the Tana says, Tana Heichikoi is going to Masech the Sanhedrin. There's a case of Kasha Zamam where you say on the Baskoyen, right? That she's supposed to get Sreifa, you're not going to get Sreifa. But Masechta Makis follows Masechta Sanhedrin. So therefore, you have the one after the other. But over here, you have many Masechtas in between what? Brachis and Tainus. So that again buttresses the kasha. And for the Gemara, okay. And for the Gemara, Elo Lashon Charata. Guys, you're right. We're not going on the Mishnah in Brachis. We're not going back to say the Zrayim. Elatana me Rosh Hashanah Salak. The Tana is going on Rosh Hashanah. The Tana, Sechta Rosh Hashanah, Daf Tazayin, Ubechag Nidun Alamayim. We had a whole list of different things over there, right? What you judged on the trees on Shavuos and Chita and on Pesach. Right, we had and on Sukkot, you judged on water, so that's what we're going on. The ID the Tani ubechagni dunun alamayim Tana meimasem askin gus geshamim. And since we learned over there in Masechta Sukkah, which is in Moed, again, it seems to be despite the fact that it's in Moed, even though you might have other Masechtas between Sukkah and Tainus, it's not a shver. As long as it's in the same seder, seems to be you're in the ballpark, right? So therefore, since it's in the ballpark, Mimela, you're mentioning what? You're mentioning Gevuras Geshamim because you're on Sukkot, you're judged on water, right? You're judged on water. Says Rashi. Let's see Rashi here. Ad hocha, right? Maybe say listening. Ad hocha say the Mayit Ella loy tema the hadik tanim maybe say the hasan kai that is going on in Masechtas Rayim. The Tanam Rosh Hashanah Salah, because he's going on Rosh Hashanah. Sheshneim b'seder echad. As we just mentioned, they're both in the same seder Mayid. Lahachi le'matzal neima ma'ishno deshafkei racha. Therefore, you can ask why did they wait till here? Let's see. Taisvis Elatana b'Rosh Hashanah koi Pirish Rosh Hashanah havi b'seder Mayid. Okay, Taisvis seems to be paralleling Rashi, guys. Correct? Mm-hmm. Yes. He doesn't say Pirish b'kuntris, and he says Pirish. Good. So the second Tosfos we're pointing out, he doesn't mention Rashi, and he says what? He says Pirish. Fredegmar listening to Amosai Maskirin al Geshamim, my Gevuras Geshamim. What's the lotion of Gevuras Geshamim, the strength of Geshamim? What do we call? We're just mentioning rain. Just say Amosai Maskirin Geshamim. What's Gevuras Geshamim? So we're going to bring 4 psukim to go ahead and say that it's Shaykh Gevura by rain. Okay, we're going to bring 4 psukim to put it together. Cheker and Gevura. Okay. So it's basically just 4 psukim to go ahead and substantiate why we say Gevuras Geshamim. Rabbi Yochanan, if they say Yordim Begevura, the reason why we say that is because they come down with strength. Shenemar, Oise Gedulois Ad Ein Cheker, Neflois, we all know. Ad Ein Mispar, Uksiv, and so now it says Cheker, Uksiv. Now, how do you know that's going on rain? Because it says next to it, Anoisein Matra Pnei Eretz, V'Shalech Mayim Pnei Chutzos. So we've established the 2 psukim that it's possible to lashon of water by cheker, not gevura, by the lashon of cheker. We've established the lashon of cheker. My mashma, Amar Rabbi Varshila, Asir cheker mibriyasa shalaylam. Ksiv hacha oise gedulas are cheker. Ksiv hasam halo yadatim leshamata elokei oilam Hashem bari kitzoy saaretz lo yiyaf lo yiga ein cheker tfunasai. There's no end to his word is tfuna. Uksiv. Meichin harim v'kaychay neza b'gevura. Okay, so now we know that it's the cheker and gevura shaykh to each other. Uminole de tefila the Tanya la'avas Hashem elokechem la'avdoi b'chol levavchem. To love Hashem and to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chol levavchem. Ezi avoida she believe, which is the avoida that's believe. Haviyem ezu tefila. That's tefila. Okay, so this is I mentioned this to Rabbi Rosenzweig yesterday, whether tefila is deraisa or derabbanon. And I told him that it's only like the Shitas of Rambam, is it deraisa? And here's the pasuk that the Rambam brings, right? The pasuk, Rabbi Rosenzweig, that the Rambam brings, that avoida is tefillah. It says, how do you serve Hashem with your mind? How do you serve Hashem with your mind? you do that what with tefillah. Uksiv basrei v'nasati mata ba'artzchem bito yoro malkosh. Okay, bottom line is putting all this psukim together, right? And keker and gevura and rain and tefillah, you're going to have gevuras geshanim. So therefore, that's why it says that. It's called gevuras geshanim. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, famous Gemara, very famous Gemara, guys. Gimel mafteches biyadei shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There are 4 mafteches in the hands of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shlei nimsru biyad shliach. That's not giving over to the hands of a shliach. Eloheim, maftech shel geshamim, the key to rain. Maftech shel chaya, the maftech of childbirth, the key to childbirth. Umaftech shel tchias hamesim, and maftech of tchias hamesim. Maftech shel geshamim, dichsiv, yiftech Hashem lecha es aitzroi, hatoiv. HaKadosh Baruch will open up his treasure house of good, Esher Shemayim, Loses Motei Artzecha Be'itai, to give rain to the land at its right time. So you see, Yiftach Hashem, not through a shliach, but Hashem is going to be in charge of rain. Shel Chaya, how do you know Hashem is in charge of childbirth? Minayin Dechsiv, Vayiskar Elokim Es Rachel, Vayishma Elecha Elokim, Vayifta Es Rachma, Hashem himself opened up a womb. Mafteach Shel Tchias HaMesim, Minayin Dechsiv, Vidatem Ki Ani Hashem, the Pischias Kivuroseichem, and I open up your kvarim. Okay, so therefore now Hashem opens up the kvarim. That's Tchias HaMesim. In Marova army in Eretz Yisrael, they would also say Af Mafteach Shel Parnasa. Even the Mafteach Shel Parnasa is in the hands of Hashem. It says Paseches Yedecha. Right. But okay, Rabbi Yochanan my time like a Choshev Parnasa. It says Amalei Shomim Hainu Parnasa. It's the same thing. Okay, let's go back. Turn the page back. So we know HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of that. So there's a tour, a very famous tour in Kuf Yudalet. I sent it out as a picture. I sent it out. If you have the phone, I sent it out as a picture. If I can, I know I had it as a picture. Why can't I find it now? Yes, please. Oh, I can read. I have it on the WhatsApp. I probably have it on the original Daf. I sent it out. Okay, I have it there. Okay, good. Okay, so here's the tour. This is what the tour says. The tour says the following. Kuf Yadalid. It says Kuf Yadalid. Listen to this, fellas. Bracha Shniya Eina Pesachis Bebaruch. The second bracha of Shemona Esrei does not begin with bracha. Because it's right next to the first bracha. Kedipirish. Minyan Tevaiseha is Nun Aleph. Guys, if you count from Ata Gibar till Mechayim Mesim, you'll have exactly 51 words. Kiminyan Tevis, like the exact amount of words, Shedalit Psukim Shel Husna Mehem. Keneged the 4 Psukim that founded them. Veheim Dalit Psukim Shnemar Behen Mafteach. The 4 psukim that it says regarding Mafteach. The Einay Misrim B'Yarodam, who are not giving over to people. The Eloheim Mafteach Shel Geshamim, Shel Parnasa, Shel Tchias HaMesim, Shel Chaya. The Simonim, guys, is Mafteach. Guys, Mafteach Motor, guys, Pei is Parnasa, Tes is Tichya, and Ches is Chaya. So therefore, in the word Mafteach, guys, you have a siman, the Mafteach, to the 4 things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu what? Didn't give over, right? Motor, Parnasa, Tichya, and Chaya. And if you do the numbers, you count this psukim over here, and the bracha, it's not a Hasidic Rebbe talking, it's the Torah. You'll get 51 words, 51 words. You count it tonight, you go home, you count the words, the 51 words in the psukim that I just read to you, and you count from Ata Gibar, including Mashav Ruach, and you will get 51. Now, this thing that Shloisha Maftecha Shel Nimsru is a famous taisus here. Shloisha Maftecha Shel Nimsru l'shliach. Let's do second taisus from the bottom. Vim Taimar V'amrinon the Maftech Geshamim Nimsorim L'Eliyahu. What did Eliyahu tell Achav? Guess what? You're in trouble. I'm going to stop the matar. I'm going to stop the towel. I'm going to stop the rain. Who'll stop the rain? Yeah, he'll stop the rain. Now you're dating yourself, right? Anyway. Stop. Anyway, the Maftech of Tchias HaMesim, the Maftech of Tchias HaMesim, right? Also, Eliyahu, Elisha, Eliyahu brought back, Elisha brought back. So, what do you mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one in charge? You see that what? It happened. Anyway, Vayesh Laimar, The Hadik Amar Shalai Nimsu L'Shliach. Ain't what Salem Shalai Nimsu L'Olam. It doesn't mean they never ever gave it over. The whole Shel Tchias HaMesim Shel Geshamim Nimseru. Ain't Achinami. There were times that it was given over. Ella, what does it mean? Lai Nimseru L'Shliach Lias L'Olam Mumuna Aleihem. That the Shliach should not forever be in charge. The Shliach should not be ever in charge.
Why can it should have two and the other shall have only one? If it's not forever, then who cares? That's how we had to get back to the front of the month if we had to share some ice.
I don't know. Anyway, so there's a Taisus in Nida. The malach of rain is Afbri, right? Afbri, right? You say Afbri in progression, right? So l'chayra, how could you tell me HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of rain if there's a malach on rain, right?
Well, I guess the kasha I saw in the
And for Taisvis, Afbri can only bring rain with asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's not only he's the shliach. In other words, but his shlichus is totally only Hashem. In other words, the reshus is in the hands of Hashem. It doesn't say Hashem brings the rain itself. The mafteach is given. It doesn't say how he's going to do it. That also would answer, again, I don't know if it answers this kasha, but go ahead, it would answer Afbri, that Afbri has to ask Hashem before he gives rain. Right? Doesn't answer it all? It answers all of them. So you see, I could what you say that Elisha and Eliyahu asked my Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's much what he did, because he made a statement. We're going to see tomorrow's Daf Mordechai that he made a statement that he was Goizer. Eliyahu was Goizer on Achab. So it wasn't just Hashem. He made a Gzeira that the butter should stop and that should stop. It would answer all of it, but it's a geschmack. This is a very, very famous Gemara. It's a classic Gemara. The Tour guys is a classic, by the way. You should write it down. You have a little pencil, write down inside the Gemara. Ayin, Tour, Kuf Yudalet. You have the Mamre Koimis, for the next time, or you'll tell your kids or something that you once saw it, something like that, case. Okay, guys, good? Very good. Okay, back to the base. This is only a whet your appetite, guys. You don't know the mamish what's waiting for you in the Sech the Tainus. Shuli Bronstein said, what Kesubis and Bob Metzias Talumdis. He said, Tainus is Tagarita. It's a good sush though. The Tainus is packed with Tagarita. Eliezer Omer, Miyom Tov Rishon Shel Chag. Eliezer says, Miyom Tov Rishon Shel Chag. So you start mentioning on the first day of Sukkot. Now, where does he know this from? Now, the assumption is it has something to do with Sukkot, because again, that's why we're mentioning it on Sukkot, because this is the time of Geshamim, right? Right before Tishrei, this before Macheshbin, the time of Geshamim. Now, there's two possibilities. May Lulav Gamalei, or Minisach Hamayim Gamalei. Does he learn it from the mitzvah Lulav, or the mitzvah Chanisach Hamayim that took place on Sukkot? Right there for 7 days, they would go ahead and gis mayim on the mizbeach. What's the nafkamina? Mi lulav garmala. He learns some lulav. Ma lulav biyoim. Just like lulav is during the day. Av haskara biyoim. So too, mashav ruach is during the day. Dilma mi nisach hamayim garmala. Or does he learn from nisach hamayim? Ma nisach hamayim me urta. Just like nisach hamayim is in the evening. The Oma Mar. Now that's speaking about Yayin. Afila B'layla, Afaskara Me'urta. Now, in fact, when we learn Masechta Sukkah, we saw that the party began at night, but the Simchas Beis HaShoeva, the drawing was at night, but again, the kissing was during the day. Again, Rashi says over here, look at Rashi, Manisach Hamayim Me'urta, left side, few lines down. They would fill it up at night, balayla. Okay, and they fill it up at night. And then he says the people who have agirsa. Let's see Taisvis. Look at the end of Taisvis. Taisvis just says at the end of the first Taisvis, if you want, you could do it at night. If you want, you could do it at night. You cannot do what? You can't do lulav during the night. Okay, so in other words, that's the shaila. When he said the first day, do we start mentioning by Ma'ariv? By Ma'ariv. In other words, the night of Sukkot, Ma'ariv. When you're going to say Shalosh Regalim, you would go ahead and say Mashavuch Madageshem, or during the day, Toshma, the Omer of Avo, It says of Ravo that he didn't learn from Nisach Hamayim, he only learned from Lulav. Ikur Diyami Rebbe Avo Maragamale. Some say that Rebbe Avo had a Messiah that Rebbe Eliezer learned from Lulav. Ikur Diyami Mastisan Shmiulei. And those he heard from what? A Brisa. This Brisa is going to take us to the end of Daf and tomorrow's Daf. This Brisa is going to take us to the end of Daf and tomorrow's Daf. Okay. Maihi, what is the Masniton? What is the Brisa Shalom? We're up again, days on the base, parallel to the Toisus Mishanis Nitilas Lulav, right? Maihi the Tanya. Me'emasei maskirin ala geshamim. Rabbi Eliezer oimim mishas netilas lulav. So he says it, right? He doesn't say, guys, miyamishaim. He says it out. He says, right? He says what? Mitilas lulav. He says it out from mitilas lulav. Rabbi Yeshua oimer. Rabbi Yeshua says, mishas hanechasai. When you put it down. So the question we'll see when you put it down. When you put it down on the 7th day, right? You put it, but we're going to geese on the 8th day, which is problematic, right? Which is a problem. Which day is it? Is it the 7th day or the 8th day? Okay, Be'ez Hashem, we'll see a pshat. Says Rashi, Mishas hanechasai, miyoyim shemevorchin boi ba'achroina. The last day that you make a bracha, to have a shvi'i. Now that's fair because we know the 8th day, right? Mashvi. So you look at the Rensburg. You see that goes Rensburg? On that aleph is like goes Rensburg. It's Sarachian till Kamon Daf Dalid. Pirish Rashi, Rabbi Shuahi, the Hainu Yom Shmini Ad Kan L'Shoina. So Rashi is conflicting. Here he says 7, and Daf Dalid says 8. Cheimash Midrash B'Shas. Shuvra isi deloy kashamidi. It's not shver. The mashakos of Rashi b'shvi al shas hanachos lulav amar. That's when you put it down. Aval haskori hila urta the shmini. But the haskori is on the urta of the shmini. So hanachos means the day when you start mentioning after the day after you put down the lulav. That's what he's learning. The day after you put down the lulav. So therefore we know it's the 8th day. Okay. So now we got to answer to our question. He has a brisa that says openly, Rabbi Eliezer does not learn from Nisach Hamayim. Rabbi Eliezer learns from Netilas Lulav. And Rabbi Yeshua, and when do you end? You end on the first, up until when? Excuse me. And he didn't say when you end. He just, excuse me, he said Rabbi says the day when Sukkot ends. The day when Sukkot ends. Amar Rabbi Eliezer. Now the same dialogue that we had in the Mishnah, just a little more be'arichas. Amar Rabbi Eliezer. Hoyel ve'arbos minam halalu. The purpose of the 4 minim is to cause water, right? We do ranunuim, and the whole thing is for water, to bring water geshamin. Just like this 4 minim need water, so too it's not possible for the world without water. Okay, so therefore the days of the arba minim of lulav, that's when you start asking.
Why do you say lulav? Why do you say
we always go after the lulav. I always say lulav. You don't say netilas esrog, you say netilas lulav, right? Lulav agaz. Amalev Yeshua, but geshamim b'chag einu el simin klala. Geshamim b'chag is a chala, right? When you say it's like an eved's coming to serve and throwing water in your face, we all know familiar with that, right? Waiting, davening that it shouldn't rain the first night of Sukkot, yeah, to get that kazayis in. Amalev Eliezer, afani lo yamarti l'shol. I never said you should begin asking for rain. El haskir. I only mentioned that you should mention the shvach of a Kodesh Baruch Hu brings rain. And just like you say, Mechayim Mason, the bracha Mechayim Mason the whole year, the Eina Ella Bismana, and it's only what in other words, and Bechiyas Mason will only happen in the time it happens. You mentioned it all, guys. We daven all the time, and it'll only happen in the times it happens. Kach maskirin guz geshamim kol hashana, right? The Eina Ella Bismana. So too, we mention it the whole year, and what it's only bismana. Therefore, if you want to mention it the whole year, you mention it the whole year. And as I mentioned to you, but it will be a chiyuv to say it when? On the first day of Sukkot. Rabbi says, now we have a third opinion, because right now the whole dialogue is between who? Between Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer. Now we have a third voice. Rabbi Oimer Ani. I saw a beautiful pshat, guys. You know what Rabbi says so often? Oimer Ani. What just Rabbi Oimer? What do you mean Oimer Ani? I say, right? So the Shem Yisum Malacha brings a pshat. It's a lashon of anava, that like a person says when he says his chiddush near Lufi Nistaiti. It's what I think, right? Rebbe the Gemara Memtes says Kishemesim Rebbe but Anava. When Rebbe died, Anivas was bottled. So Rebbe often says, Rebbe Ani, I say, like in a humble way, I say, it's me saying, it's not. Ani, Misha Shem Mafsik L'Shela, when you stop asking for rain, Kaf Mafsik L'Askara, so too you stop making Shaskara. You Rebbe Eliezer want to say that what? Baskirin Gavus the whole year. No, when we stop saying the same Talamat with Racha, you stop saying Masha Baruch Amar Geshem. So he's not arguing when they start, he's arguing when you stop. You Rebbe Eliezer want to mechadish that you can say, according to this price, Masha Baruch Amar Geshem the whole year. No, you can't say it the whole year. The day you stop asking for rain by saying the same Talamata, that same time you stop being masculine. Now, a third opinion, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Oimer, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says, B'sheni b'chag hu masker. You know when you start mentioning it on the second day of the Chag? We'll see this tomorrow. Why? On the second day of the Chag. Rabbi Kiva Oimer, b'shishi b'chag hu Oimer. You say hu masker. You mention it right on the sixth day. So far we have 1, 8, 2, 6. Good? That's what we have. Rabbi Yehuda Mishum Rabbi Yeshua Oimer, Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Yeshua, ha'oivel lefnei ateva b'yontav ha'achron shel chag. Like this is what we saw in the Mishnah. It didn't say in the Mishnah in the name of Yeshua. Here it does say in the name of Yeshua that the one person who goes on Musif on Shmini Atzeres, Maskir, Harishain, the Baal Shachris, Eno Maskir. The Yom Tov Rishon Shal Pesach, Harishain Maskir. The Yom Tov Rishon on the Shachris on the first day of Pesach does say Mashavuach, Maskir, and Achron Eno Maskir. And the other ones does not. Okay, so that is what is the dialogue. We'll review the shittas in a second. Let's just finish the Gemara. Guys, very good. Since it's a Shvach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu who brings rain, and just like you say Mechayim Mason the whole year, you should say Mashav Ruach the whole year, because you're not asking for rain, you're praising for rain, praising the one who brings rain. So Amalach Rabbi Yeshua, Bishlem Etchias HaMesim, Maskir, the Kula Yuma Zmanahu. You know why you say it the whole year? Because there's no set time when it's supposed to happen. Whenever it happens, it happens. So we Mishabech HaKadosh Baruch Hu making it happen. Elegashomim kol emas da asyin zimnayuhi. Right? You're telling me Geshomim, anytime it happens, it's this man that you can rain every single day of the year? For Tanan, Yotza Nisim v'yardu Geshomim. We're going to see if Nisim passes and it starts to rain, Siman Klalahi. It's a simon of a klala. Your crops are out. They're going to get ruined. So therefore, you can't possibly mention Mashav Ruach the whole year, because rain is not masked the whole year. Your Tzushta Rebbe Eliezer to rain is Tchias HaMesim. There's a big difference. Tchias HaMesim can happen any one of the days of the 12 months. But what? You don't want it to rain the whole year. So therefore, you do not mention it the whole year. That's what Rabbi Yeshua is retorting to Rebbe Eliezer. Now, how do you know that it's a simon klala? So this is speaking about where Shmuel Hanavi is leaving the job. He was the Navi leading Chai Yisrael. Bnei Yisrael asked for a king incorrectly, so he's giving them musar, and he's telling them, look what I could have done for you. And you know what he did? He brought rain, shalei bezmanai. Today is the time of Kitsir Chitim, meaning it's the time of the harvest, and he brought what? He brought rain. Rabbi Yehuda Meseir Omer, okay. Rabbi Yehuda Meseir said, V'sheni b'chag, and we'll discuss this tomorrow. Okay, so what do we see? So far, we have machloikis between Rebbe Eliezer and Rebbe Yeshua. Says Rebbe Eliezer, you begin saying Masha Baruch on the first day of Sukkot. Rebbe Yeshua says on Shmini Atzeres. Rebbe Yehuda said, also agreed on Shmini Atzeres. Rebbe Yehuda and Beseira said on the second day, and Rebbe Kiva said on the sixth day. Okay, now there's very funny Taisus in over here. The Taisus are constantly explaining, and they never bring in Pirish Bekuntris. Throughout Shas, we have Pirish Bekuntris. So I found in my notes, Maritz Chias, I sent it out, guys. Take a look on your phones if you have it. If you have it on your, you should have it on your phones. I sent it out, and I have it on the computer for the guys. I'll bring it up in a second. Okay, what's scan? It's back to scan documents, right? I have trouble reading that, but Tzvi Hershchias. It was no, an Achron. It was an Achron. Or Tzchias was an Achron. How do I make this bigger? Yeah, he was you have Shilas and Chuvas from him from the Chassam Sofer. What? Okay, guys, should be able to see this. Okay, we're not going to go through the whole thing. Don't get nervous. Okay, so what does he say? So he says something over here, and he goes and he starts. Now, it goes through everyone. He says, "Divrei Tosfos." This he brings in constant place that Rashi doesn't make a lot of sense, and Tosfos doesn't quote Rashi. And if you look at the end, look right at the end. Umizen near a borrower, 3 lines in the bottom, in the middle of the line. Umizen near a borrower, the pirizeh whom I tell me the Rashi. This is not Rashi's pirish, guys. This is a pirish of the Talmidim of Rashi. Therefore, Tosfos in this Masechta. Therefore, Tosfos did not quote him because there was no Rashi in front of him, right? And therefore, he wasn't in front of the Bali Tosfos. He doesn't bring this pirish at all. You never see it. And this Talmud heard many pirushim for Rashi. Amali Rebbe in the Masechta, Amali Rebbe. Can trace him. Maybe I can trace him. I'll bring you a Raya Brewer, guys. That it can't be Rashi. This is a Raya Brewer. Look at Tesvav Amid Aleph, guys. Look at Tesvav Amid Aleph. Now the Bali Tosfos were written. The Bali Tosfos were written by Rashi's grandchildren. In other words, Rabbeinu Tam, all these people, they argued on Rashi after Rashi's Patira. Good. They argued on Rashi after Rashi's Patira, and it was for a considerable period of time that the Tosfos got together. Good. Now, if you look at the Gemara, you see where it says where it began the Perek, and it says the third line down, Echad Echad. Look parallel to that. It says the Kabbalah. Look at Rashi, Ubekabbalah, parallel 3 lines down in the Gemara when the new Perek begins. The 3 lines in the Gemara, and you look parallel to Rashi, Ubekabbalah, Shanavi Mitzav Yisrael. Vehiksha Tosfos.
He's calling Tosfos.
Guys, Rashi can't quote Tosfos. Shum Dava, you never find Rashi quoting Tosfos. Vehiksha Tosfos. So it's a Pella, guys. This Masechta is not Pirish Rashi, it's Rashi's Talmud. I think it's a wonderful, that's a nice idea. Thanks everyone for listening. Please come back tomorrow. We do this thing again. There is a Siyum here tomorrow, 7:45. Anyone who wants to make it, we'll give you nice food. I'm going to bring a bottle of wine, right? I'll bring a good bottle of wine. Great to see you, Mech.